Thank you so much for inviting me to your networking group today to speak to you about motivation and achieving your goals in 2015. I'm particularly passionate about this subject as a coach because most people, when they set New Year's resolutions, don't achieve their goals fully. In fact, only 8% of people achieve their resolutions fully. So it's a subject I'm particularly passionate about, and it's something I wanted to share with you guys today. What I think is that there's a secret. I think there are 3 secrets that the 8% of people who achieve their goals have. And I want to share those secrets with you. And I also think that there's one thing that you must absolutely know to achieve your goals in 2015 and beyond. So let's get into it. Let's start by covering the foundation of goal setting. I just want to do this so that we all have the same basic understanding. So we know that we have to set goals. And we might do that by picking what you want to achieve and writing it down. Writing it down is really important, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment here. The next thing we have to do is we have to develop a plan. So we set our goal and then we develop a plan. And we do that maybe through setting SMART goals. We've all seen this before, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. And then we have to overcome obstacles to that plan. So we could do that through coaching or training. Usually it involves an investment of some kind of time or money to overcome an obstacle. Could be anything, right? If we take those 3 ingredients and we put them together, you have a goal achieved. So you set goals, you develop a plan, and you overcome obstacles, and then you achieve them. Makes sense by show of hands? Right, exactly. Makes perfect sense. So there's a few tips that I want to add to this. The tips are focus at least 3 hours a week. So pick one goal that is meaningful to you, just one to start. And doesn't mean you can't have other goals, but pick one to start. Focus 3 solid hours a week. You can break that up in half-hour increments. You can break that up into 1-hour increments or one chunk of 3 hours. You'd be amazed when you turn off your cell phone, you turn off your email, how much work you can actually get done on your goal. 3 hours a week, you will see yourself skyrocketing, maybe more than you have other years that you haven't done that. The next thing is you want to revisit that goal daily or weekly. So I used to keep my goals in my back pocket and look at them every day, without a word of a lie. Every single day I would look at my goals. The next thing that I would do, or the thing that I'm doing now, is that I have a folder system. So I look at my goals once a week. If you are not writing down your goals, this is the importance of writing them down. If you're not writing them down and looking at them at least on a weekly basis, how do you keep them top of mind? You can't. You have to bring it into your conscious mind and be reminded of it. Some people do this once a month and they think that's enough. But think about that. That's only 12 times a year that you're looking at your goals. If you look at it every week, you're being reminded of that goal 52 times a year. If you look at it every day, it's 364 times a year, 365 if it's a leap year. You're constantly being reminded. So that's some really important stuff. The third tip that I want you to know and write down is that your willpower is not enough. Willpower is never enough. We only get this much willpower in our lives. We can practice stretching it and the rest of it, but the truth of the matter is that we don't get very much, so you can't rely on that. So you need to set up a habit. It's our subconscious habits that keep us where we are. We have to put an intervention in place to change that and bring it to the front of our mind. So if your goal is to lose weight, which by the way is the #1 goal at the start of the year, is to lose weight. 45 to 50% of people who set a New Year's resolution, it's about their weight. If you do that, you might put a magnet on the fridge that says don't eat the bacon. And when you stop seeing that because you become complacent, you might do something else, right? So can you see, just by show of hands, if we do that, just those things, that you'll be successful and maybe even more successful than you have been already. Just those simple things, right? Even just a little bit. Yeah? Great. So have you learned something already? Even just a little bit? Great, great. That's good. That's more than I thought. This is pretty some pretty basic fundamental stuff, but now we're all speaking from the same page. Make sense? Great. So why is it then that only 8% of people achieve their New Year's goals fully? I think that there's a secret. So I think there's 3 secrets. And I think there's one thing that people must absolutely know to achieve their goals that adds to those 3 secrets. Do you want to know what those are? I'm seeing nodding heads. Good. Good. So secret number 1, let's get into it. Secret number 1 is that you have to understand your why. This is so important. It's not really about setting goals. It's about understanding why you get up in the morning and why you want to get up in the morning. If you do not have a deep and personal connection to the reason why you want to achieve your goal, you're probably not going to achieve it. In fact, and when I say deep and personal, money and beauty are not deep and personal connections for most people. They're not authentic motivators for most people. For some people, maybe a little bit. For most people, it's not. So what is your deep and personal connection? So if you want to get a new job, maybe it's because your deep and personal connection is because you want to give some time back to yourself so that you can, pick up a new hobby. Or maybe it's because, if your goal is weight loss, maybe you want to lose weight because you're tired of not being able to play with your kids, right? That is a deep and personal connection. You don't have a deep and personal connection through money and beauty. Those things are a result that we get or buy into, right? The second secret is you have to know your worth. So this is where most people struggle. And I have a question for you. Do you think that Tiger Woods spends $150 a month on golf training and meets with his golf trainer 20 minutes 3 times a week? Absolutely not. Tiger Woods gets the best programs that his time and money can afford. He makes the investment. He takes a risk. So don't raise your hands. How many of you in this room of business owners know that you needed to take some action last year, like hiring someone to join your team or investing in some program, a mentor, a coach, a system, a process, administrative support? Just think about that question. Because if you haven't done it, if you're waiting for something else, it's like, when I do this, then I will. Well, you're waiting for your worth to come around, and it's not going to. Every time we invest in something, we are investing in a promise about how it's going to make us feel. Every single time. So whether you go to the grocery store and you buy a chocolate bar, or you invest in a personal training program, you're investing in a promise about how it's going to make you feel. All of it comes back to a feeling. So why not invest in something that's going to produce a sustainable result that makes you feel good for a long time, as opposed to the chocolate bar at the grocery store? The biggest excuse that we hear is that people don't have enough time and they don't have enough money. Well, the concern with that, of course, is that if you wait for the time and money, it won't come. We all get 24 hours a day. And not all of us make a lot of money. But you have to get creative, take a risk, and stretch yourself. There are people that offer personal training programs for $40,000. And there are people who offer those same training programs for $1,000. The people who are paying $40,000 are getting better results than the people who are paying $1,000. Now, it doesn't have to do necessarily with the dollar amount. What it has to do with, is it a personal risk to you? Does it feel like a stretch for you? And whatever you think your stretch is Add 10, 20, 50%, and that's probably where you need to be. Let's talk about the third secret. So the third secret is creating the habit. So lots of people kick off the new year with a bang, right? They're like, I'm going to start a new diet, a new personal training program, I'm going to go skydiving this year, whatever it is, right? They go and they do this, and then what happens? It all starts to fall apart, right? Why does that happen? It's too much all at once. So sometimes we do those things because it's good to reset. You know, people talk about doing a cleanse at the start of the year. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. It's a reset. But then after the cleanse, they go back to what they were doing before. What is better, you know, so that we don't, because when we crash, we feel like crap about ourselves. What is better and easier is to pick one thing and create a habit. So I'll give you an example. I have a client that wanted to start going to the gym. For the first 2 weeks, this is where she was, not all of you will be in that place. For the first 2 weeks, she turned right instead of left, because the gym was right. So she drove to the gym, and then she drove home. Then by the third week, she walked into the gym and she had a conversation with somebody. And then it went from there. But she had to create the habit of going. And for some of us, that's exactly what it is. I just need to create the habit. When I first started going to the gym, I put my shoes and my clothes right in front of the door. So as soon as I walked in after work, they were right there. As soon as I took my work clothes off, that was the next outfit I put on. And I would go lie on my bed with my iPad on or iPhones on, and I'd be like, why won't I go? But I'd go because I was already dressed to go, right? So it's about creating the habit. So it's a little bit like this actually, isn't it? My goal for 2015 is to accomplish the goals of 2014, which I should have done in 2013 because I promised them in 2012 and planned in 2011. So we kind of get that same feeling, right? It's like, okay, how many times have I been down this path? So what is the one thing that you must know? That one thing that you absolutely must know? We often wait for perfection, don't we? Or we wait to feel confident. I'll go to the gym when I get confident. I'll ask for a raise when this happens, right? I don't feel like I deserve it yet, okay? And by the way, if you want that question answered about whether you're worth it or not, my question to you is this. Are you a human being who is living and breathing? Yes, right? Then you're worth it. That's it. This whole concept of self-worth is just a perception. It's complete crap. It's based off of old systems that make no sense to anybody. You're worth it simply because you exist. You don't need to earn anything. You need to go and take the action. And that's what the secret is that you don't wait for perfection, but you take imperfect, inspired action. Does that make sense? Do you see how if we wait, we're not going to get there? I hear this lots. When I feel confident, then I'll do that. When I feel confident, then I will go skydive. When I feel confident, I will ask my boss for a raise. When you go and skydive, can you see how after you have that experience, you would feel confident? Can you see when you ask your boss for a raise, even if he or she says no, can you see how that would give you confidence, saying, I can't believe I just did that, but I did. And even though they said no, I asked. Can you see that? Next step. So let's just talk about, I've got one step for you that I want you to take. What is your imperfect, inspired action that you will do today? Pick one thing, do it today, right after this meeting. Take some action towards one of your goals. Don't wait for perfection. Do something that's a little bit risky, a little bit crazy, and send me an email and we'll celebrate it. That's all I've got for you today. Thanks very much.